covering news where you live. This is 5 News at
Well, the EU announces retaliatory actions after the Trump administration's new tariffs on all imported aluminum and steel take effect. How this could impact costs to consumers. And we'll tell you about a new program at Bentonville schools that's aimed at improving maternal health care options for expecting mothers. Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. What else is there to say this week? It's been a beautiful week. I guess we do have some storms that we might be watching later on, though.
Yeah, beautiful right now, like it's been the past several days, and really most of us staying dry the rest of the day. There's going to be a few isolated thunderstorms later on this evening. That's going to bring the chance for some severe weather. Taking a look, current temperatures out there this afternoon, absolutely gorgeous. Another day where we have little to no cloud coverage. Now that's going to change once we get into the late afternoon, into the early evening hours. Until then, though, absolutely gorgeous everywhere, up into those low to mid 70s as of this afternoon. Going to continue to climb, upper 70s, low 80s expected throughout the rest of the day today. Here's those daytime highs that eventually we will reach. Again, upper 70s, low 80s. Not too bad for our Wednesday. Again, that weather impact alert specifically across the River Valley for this evening for a few isolated thunderstorms that could cross over into the severe limits. We look at futurecast and you see how isolated this is going to be. Very little rainfall. I think a lot of us stay dry, but those who do get those isolated thunderstorms, that'll bring the threat for maybe some hail cores and some strong winds as well. By the time we get past midnight, this system is done. Again, most everybody stays dry. Those who don't, though, that has the chances of some strong storms. We'll talk about it coming up.
Thanks, Stephen. Well, the EU and Canada have announced retaliatory tariffs following new U.S. tariffs that took effect overnight on imported steel and aluminum. This comes as the Trump administration is also cutting the Department of Education by nearly half. Natalie Brandt reports.
President Trump is meeting with the Taoiseach of Ireland today. It comes as the European Union announced it's punching back against new 25% U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. The EU says it will impose new duties on U.S. goods, including textiles and agricultural products.
Tariffs are taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers.
Imports account for an estimated 25% of steel and about half of aluminum used in the U.S. While the producers of those metals are applauding the president's new tariffs to spur domestic production, other industries are bracing for increased costs. Jim Tobin is the CEO of the National Association of Home Builders.
We've seen some estimates that say that it could be up to $10,000 per home that these tariffs could increase the cost. But we're waiting to see. It's still going to be months before these tariffs truly find their bite and we see the impacts.
The administration is also moving forward with slashing the Department of Education, announcing plans to cut the workforce by nearly 50%. Among the more than 1,300 employees who received layoff notices Tuesday, Dallas-based civil rights lawyer Brittany Coleman, who's also an Education Department employee union leader.
It's very disappointing to know that the work that we do to try to help our students get great educational opportunities was not valued.
The Department of Education says it will continue to deliver programs including student loans, Pell Grants, and funding for special needs students. Teachers groups have slammed the cuts. The National Education Association says the real victims will be the most vulnerable students. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Well, at the Capitol, we've talked about the Arkansas access bills, and Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders pushed to reimagine the state's secondary education. Well, now one of Arkansas' senators is leading a national push for university reform. Senator Tom Cotton announced a bill on Tuesday to, quote, reform the rotten culture on university campuses. He says the first bill will make it so any pro-Hamas protester convicted of a crime will be ineligible for federal student loans and federal student loan relief. The second introduces the Woke Endowment Security Tax, or WEST Act, taxing schools with major endowments. And it's been nearly 8 years since Arkansas executed a death row inmate, but that could soon change. Nitrogen gas as an execution method is now just a governor's signature away from becoming an option. It passed yesterday in the Senate. The controversial bill once again sparked debate amongst lawmakers, with some saying it's inhumane and others saying this should be about the victims.
Because they didn't want to be in the position they were put on in the first place, any more than you and I want to be put in the position that today we're going to vote for this bill.
A horrific act of violence cannot be a horrific act of violence. It doesn't make us tough. It doesn't make us just. It just means that we too have committed a horrific act of violence.
Right now, there are 25 inmates on death row in Arkansas. Bruce Ward has been there the longest, since 1990. His scheduled execution was delayed in 2017. And a sixth person has been arrested in a deadly Rogers shooting. It happened early Saturday morning on South B Street. The victim in the shooting has been identified as 41-year-old Andres Fonseca. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he died from his injuries. The sixth suspect, Jordan Mandujano, was the latest to be arrested and charged in this shooting. Prosecutors also announced the arrest of Jesus Rodriguez and Christopher Nicasio on Tuesday. Jared Stiles, Amy Manduano, and Eileen Rocha were arrested on Monday, and all six are charged with capital murder. A teenager is in custody right now, accused of attempted murder. Overnight Friday, deputies were called to a home in Pope County. Upon arrival, they found a 56-year-old woman shot. Deputies then spoke with her and tracked down the 13-year-old accused shooter. Reports indicate the two are related. No word yet, though, on what led to the shooting. Meanwhile, a Washington County judge has set a trial date next year for multiple civil cases against Dr. Brian Hyatt. Former patients accused the Rogers psychiatrist of coercion, abuse, and false imprisonment at Northwest Medical's behavioral unit to fraudulently collect Medicare funds. The lawsuits are consolidated, with attorneys deciding which two cases to try first.
The bellwether process is one of those processes to try to narrow the focus of the whole project and all of the cases to a number of specific plaintiffs, hopefully that are representative of the bigger group. And those individual trials then sort of establish, if you will, the value or the issues for all of the rest of the cases.
Hyatt, who faces 2 criminal counts of large-scale Medicaid fraud, was not in court Tuesday when the decision was made to move the trial, and his attorneys declined to comment. Well, if you live in Bentonville, expect your water bill to look a lot different next month. City leaders just approved a major rate hike, doubling the cost of water. Starting next month, Bentonville residents will see their water rates jump by 100%. City leaders say this was needed to repair leaks and help with operation costs, but not everyone agrees with how it was handled. While water rates will double, the overall utility bill will go up about 12%. Residents and business owners spoke out against the change, with many saying they understand the need for an increase, but not one this big. Mayor Stephanie Orman says in the future they do want to look at other options to help with infrastructure issues.
No one wants to raise rates. It was a really hard decision for everyone tonight. We've been through multiple, scenarios and ways to get there, and sometimes at some point you just have to make a hard decision. So we have several things that we need to look at, but we really needed to keep the funding coming to go after the leaks.
Orman says the city has made a commitment to looking at the rates annually, and they want to be able to bring them down in the future. And Arkansas has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the nation. To help improve these statistics, Bentonville Public Schools has launched a doula certification program for high school seniors. 5 News reporter Rachel Williams tells us more about this pilot program.
Students leave their high schools and go to Ignite Professional Studies for in-person instruction and hands-on experience.
I always knew that I wanted to do something in the medical field, but I just didn't know quite what. And now my shift has focused to delivering the babies and being in that room and being part of the experience.
The future of maternal health care in the natural state is improving, with the next generation getting new opportunities and learning experiences.
So we just got our Arkansas certification last week, and now we're in the program so we can get our certification internationally.
In Bentonville, the public school system is in the first year of its doula certification program. Part of the idea came from a maternal health roundtable event with Senator Bozeman.
I just realized when I left that we have all these Ignite students. So many young ladies have told me that they're interested in maternal health. So why couldn't we start a doula program? And that's really the beginning. I called Jessica and she said I could go for it, and UAMS was a great partner.
And with Arkansas having one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country, Ignite instructors saw an opportunity to improve maternal health.
Doulas offer support to moms during the prenatal phase, the actual delivery, and then postnatal, and sometimes home visits afterwards, helping with the baby. And so because of the riskiness of our state, doula is the very bottom certification that we can offer our students to go out there and actually make an impact.
Right now, 11 students are enrolled in the doula certification program. Bentonville West senior Lily Castillo says at 3 months in, she's already learned so much, like how there are different types of doulas.
Whether that's postpartum, end of life, sibling doulas, like if there's something traumatic that went on there, and obviously doulas for the mother and like families and stuff like that. And we've just learned those different pathways and like how to comfort people in those different types of ways, and just like comforting measures and how to take care of mothers and like what to do in an emergency and all that kind of stuff.
As for what's next for the program, there's always room for expansion.
I would say probably we would want to keep it at 20 or below, just for that more personal. And coming into the healthcare facilities, we don't want to bombard. Right now we have 4 in the morning and 7 in the afternoon students. So I think we could probably end up with 10 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon. I know it's growing interest.
Rachel Williams, 5 News.